Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new action figure review. We have the latest Tamashii Nations Bandai SH Figuarts for the Avengers Endgame, and it is Captain Marvel. The second Carol Danvers figure following the Captain Marvel version. So this one of course is from the Avengers Endgame, following the final battle where she has the short hair and then the new suit as well. So we're going to start off first with the packaging. So they've gone for the original one, which is the all white, kind of resembling the Quantum suit, with the titles and stickers and logos at the front. So the only difference is they've gone for this more damaged effect on the Avengers logo. It has this kind of dissolving effect, which is of course after the Thanos snap. So that's something that's pretty nice. It's got it on the side as well. And then on the other side, we have the name and logo. At the bottom, we have some detail. And then at the top as well. And then on the back, we have the character in different poses. So they've gone for the smaller size box. And this is similar to the Ant-Man, Black Widow one. So it's the most original packaging you can get. Probably because there's not going to be that many accessories. And I actually don't mind this all white color for Captain Marvel, because I think her colored suit in the red, blue and gold really pop out of this box. So now let's begin unboxing Captain Marvel. And here is the full look of the Captain Marvel figure in its packaging. So here is the overall look of the Captain Marvel inside its packaging. We have some flame effects as well as some alternative hands to go with the figure. So here is the figure out of its packaging, the Avengers Endgame Captain Marvel. Of course, I'll be giving you my opinions and discussing the likeness of the head sculpt, the design of the suit, the accessories, articulation, and how well it compares to the original SH Figuarts Captain Marvel. So let's first discuss my first impressions, and that is the design of the suit. I think it's very colourful. It's the same as the original where we have blue, red and gold. Now the only difference is, if you remember, is the way the colours are put. In the original version, she had red gloves, red boots, and then she had a red top. In this figure, it's the opposite, where it's more blue than red. So you can see that the way they designed the suit is pretty detailed as well. They put a lot of effort into it. All the blue parts have this kind of shiny look, whereas the red part is in a more patterned type of design. And of course, another difference is she has this sort of belt on her. So it's a new and improved suit in the Avengers Endgame version. So I actually really like Captain Marvel in the Avengers Endgame. I thought it was a great moment for her in the final battle, especially as she arrived late, and then when she took on Thanos, it really showcased how powerful she is. So I think that was a great moment for Captain Marvel. And in terms of the likeness of the character, Carol Danvers, now I must say this is probably not the best one, but from some angles, I think she does represent Brie Larson. It's probably not the best version, but I think I can see the likeness there. Now, whether this one is the same mold as the original Captain Marvel, I think it's actually a different one. So it's a brand new face. And of course the hairstyle is different. The original one, I think people complained about how blonde it was too yellow and bright. But this one, I think they've kind of improved on it. Again, it is blonde, but you can see there's a lot more shading into it. And in terms of the hairstyle, I think they've got it pretty spot on. It is quite likeness to the one we see in the movie. So I actually do like the hairstyle. And if you talk about how accurate it is, if you look at the left eye at the bottom, she has a spot there, which is something that Brie Larson really has. So it's kind of cool they did add that on. Now, in terms of the way the color looks, I think it will really pop out from my collection. So just like my Iron Spider is the red, blue and gold colors, I think this one is the same. It will really stand out from the crowd. And I think it'll be a nice piece to put the Iron Spider and Captain Marvel next to each other, because of course they also had that brief moment in the movie. So that was just a quick look at the head sculpt and the design of the suit. We can now test out the articulation, and then we'll move on to the accessories. So now for the articulation, and I think it's going to be pretty standard for your SH Figuarts. as most of the joints and movements will allow her to do the iconic poses. Especially for a character like Captain Marvel, I think she just needs to be in a standing neutral pose, flying pose, or a punching one. It's not like a character, for example Spider-Man or Iron Man, where she's going to need a lot more dynamic poses. So hopefully the joints will be smooth and not too stiff or loose, because I have encountered that on some of the previous figures. So let's first begin with the head sculpt, and I think that's going to be standard, the 360 spin, and then of course it can be shifted side to side. And then an important articulation is probably the upwards motion, which is great for flight poses, and then downwards motion as well when you're flying up in the air and looking down on the battlefield. And then for the arms, they are smooth. They go upwards like this and rotate the other way, and then backwards like this, and of course your usual forwards and the other way as well. For the elbows, they can bend backwards this much, and then for the hands, it's like a rotation and also a pivot. And then for the body, so it does have a turn, and then it can also be shifted side to side, and then of course it has a front crunch and a backwards motion, and then it's the same for the lower half on the waist, so it does have side to side rotation as well as side to side movement, and then of course you're going to get the crunch forwards and backwards. And then for this belt, it is loose, so it goes upwards pretty easily, but if you just hold it down and you tilt the figure upside down, there's no problem there. But I think the reason why they didn't hold it down is because you can push it up so you can move the legs. So if you keep the belt down, there is some restrictions on the leg movement. So articulation on the legs is going to be forwards, backwards, rotation this way or the other way, and of course the knee bend, which goes quite far back, which is good for the flight poses. And then for the boots, of course there's no movement on the actual boot, but on the actual shoe you can go forwards and backwards. And then for the toes, you can push them up, although I don't normally get the point of this, it's just an extra piece there. So yeah, that's pretty much your standard articulation, and now we can test out the accessories. So for the accessories, we have some flame effects. This is both for the hands and the legs. We also have two alternative sets of hands. So for the flames on the legs, which is the orange ones, it is in this transparent plastic, and it actually does have some movements to expand it, just to wrap it around the legs. And then for the actual hand flames, they are just this hard plastic, and this one doesn't have any movements at all. So this is the full look of Captain Marvel with the flame effects. And here are the alternative hands. So here is the figure next to the Avengers Endgame Iron Spider. So I'm looking forward to putting this alongside some of the other characters as well, and creating some iconic scenes and posting them on my Instagram. So stay tuned for that as well. So now for my overall opinion of the Captain Marvel from the SH Figuarts Avengers Endgame line. I think it definitely works as the Endgame version with the design of the suit and the flame effects, and it's probably a more appealing figure overall than its previous version. But I think the head sculpt could be improved. The hairstyle is accurate, but the face isn't, and they never gave us an alternative head sculpt like a smiling or aggressive face. Other than that, I can't complain too much, as it's the first Captain Marvel figure I own. So overall a 7.5 out of 10. So how does this compare to the rest of the Endgame line, and the previous Captain Marvel SA Figuarts? And is this the last of the Final Battle Endgame figures for SA Figuarts? And if you haven't already, you can check out my channel for the other reviews for the Endgame line. And please like, share and subscribe, and thanks for watching.